Alright, so today is on Chapter 4 of Lesson 2, Comparing and Ordering Rational Numbers. So, the first thing we're going to look at is like fractions. So, we're just going to think of a pair of like fractions. So, one pair of like fractions is 1/3 and 2/3. So, they're like fractions because they have the same denominator. So you could write that under like fractions, same denominator. Okay. Then we have a pair of unlike fractions. So that could be something like 1/3 and 1/6. So for 1/3 and 1/6, these would be, they do not have the same denominator. Okay, so then finding a common denominator. So if we had 1/3 and 1/6, we would say, okay, we have the denominators of 3 and 6. What is a number that is the same for that either 3 can go into or 6 can go into or both? So it would actually be 6. So we would multiply the denominator by 2, and we would get 2/6. So our common denominators would be 6, and our common fractions would be 2/6 and 1/6. Okay. So now we're going to move on to this next section. So it says fill in the blank with a greater than, less than, or equal to symbol, and then you have to demonstrate your answer on a number line. So we have -1 and 5/6 and -1 and 1/6. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start numbering my number line. So bear with me here. This is going to be a little tricky. So -2, I have -1 and 5/6 because I'm counting by 6 because that's how my problem is. And you just keep going. -1 and 1/6, -1. And we have -5/6, -4/6, -3/6, and I have -2/6, and if I were to add another line, I'd have -1/6, and then another line would be 0. Okay, that's if my number line kept going. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plot my 2 points on the number line. So I have -1 and 5/6, which is down here. Then I have -1 and 1/6, which is there. And in order to see which one is bigger than the other, you're trying to see which one is the closest to 0. So closest to 0 is -1 and 1/6. So we're going to be eating that -1 and 1/6. Okay, so if you want to put here, closer to 0. Okay, our next one we have is -5 and 5/9, and then -5 and 1/9. So I'm going to go ahead and number my number line again. So I'm going to start with -6, then -5 and 8/9, -5, 7/9, -5 and 6/9, -5 and 5/9, -5 and 4/9, -5 and 3/9, -5 and 2/9, -5 and 1/9, then -5, -4 and 8/9, and then if you know, all the way at the end we would have 0. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and plot our points again. So we have -5 and 5/9, which is here, and then -5 and 1/9, which is there. And from there, we can see that -5 and 1/9 is closer to 0, so there we go. So I'm going to write closer to 0. Okay, our next one we have is -3 and 2/3, and then -3 and 4/6. So for this one, we can actually make common denominators. So we're going to multiply by 2, we have -3 and 4/6 and -3 and 4/6. So we can see that these are equal. So I'm not even going to do a number line for that because it's the exact same point. Okay, number 4, same thing, we're going to make common denominators. So I'm going to multiply by 9 and multiply by 6. So I have 45 over 54, and then I have 42 over 54. So 5/6 is greater, so my sign is going to be 5/6 is greater than 7/9. And then our last one, 1/5 and 7/50ths. So I'm going to make common denominators. So I have 10 over 50 and then 7 over 50. And I'm going to see here that 10 over 50 is greater, so that my side is going to go that way. So I have, whichever one has the larger numerator would be the greater one, not closest to 0. So not closest to 0, larger numerator. All right, go ahead and flip it over to the back. All right, so comparing decimals. So we are going to fill in the blank with the less than, greater than, or equal to sign as well. So for this one, we have 10 hundredths for the first, and 1/10 or 100th. How I said 10 hundredths, that's also correct. And this would be 100th. So 1/10 is greater than 100th. For number 2, we have 99 thousandths, and for this one, on the other side, we have 1/10. Okay, you could also write this, if we add 2 zeros in, this would be 100 thousandths. So that's going to be our sign. For number 3, we have 4.44, and then we have 4.440. If we add a 0 there, they are going to be equal. Number 4, we're going to look at our 3.2 and our 3.1. We're saying which one is closest to 0? Well, 0.31 is closest, so it's going to be less than. For number 5, we have 0.6 with the repeating sign, so it's going to be 6, 6, 6, 6, dot, 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 dot. And for the other side of 0.6, it's 0.6, and then there's zeros repeating. So our 0.6 repeated would be greater. And this one should be pretty simple. We have a negative and we have a positive. Which one is bigger? Our 1.1. Thanks for watching.